Alright folks, let's be totally realistic. Marvel Superior Battles is all about two things at the end of the day: attackers and defenders. But for a long time, everyone, and I mean absolutely everyone, has been obsessed with attackers. Who has the biggest critic, who does the most damage, who melts faster, who turns into quick fights, and if it's totally fun, it's flashy. But let me ask you what would happen when you're the one on defense, because here's the thing. It's not just who you can beat, it's who can stop your opponent. That's where Battlegrounds changes the script for that. Alliance Wars is, and with all the clues they end up keeps dropping about the new competitive modes. You can't ignore your defense anymore. In fact, if you do, you will only be handing out free victories to your opponent. Defense is very important, as much as the ranking of the best attackers. But if your defense is totally weak, it is being blown by your opponent very easily, then basically here is this top to give you that advantage and make sure you know exactly which champions you need, why they are good and why they are not. Also, if you are tired of losing totally winnable fights in battle game modes, or if Alliance Wars, if you want to start blocking people in victories, and if you want to make sure your team is as strong in defense as in offense, stick around. And also, if you want to make sure that your squad is as strong in defense as it is in attack, then stay and let's talk about these top 5 defenders. Today we are going to start this series and to see the defenses that are most annoying and that more anger provoke in Marvel Battle of Superheroes. In addition, those that dominate the battlefields in the war, those that make you wish you had vetoed. Instead of thinking I took a chance selecting it to give it a hard time, that's right. Let's start with the 5 best defenders in the game right now. Defenses of each class, so you know exactly who masters the cosmic mystical mutant ability, whatever it is. If you want to make sure your defense is as strong as your offense, you're going to want to watch this video. So if you're not sure about subscribing yet, don't worry. But if you're serious about it, subscribe to the channel because this helps me keep making these types of videos. Before entering the top 5, let's take 1 second to talk about a defender who is a totally absolute threat but who is not on the main list. It's about Master. I know some of you are thinking, wait, why isn't he on the list of top 5 defenders? Trust me, I hear you, this guy. He's a tank that's frustrating to fight and he can waste time like no other. But there's a great reason it's just an honorable mention. Most players don't even have it because he's a master. An honorable mention. To get a 7-star master, you have to 100% explore the necropolis, which is one of the hardest things we have in the games, along with the eternity of pain, and only a small percentage of players, mostly whales and high level in the end games, have actually done. You can get this 6-star version by just completing a pass to necropolis, but let's be totally honest, like the 7-star one, there is none. Since most players don't have access to it, it still stays in honorable mentions. Master needs to wake up to be good at defense. Totally no, not at all. It's one of the best things about Master, who is a totally monstrous defender, without having to wake him up separately. You also don't have to invest in any type of singularity stone. But if on the other hand you want to use them only to attack, then you will want to have that ability awakened. But I already tell you that for a defender, it is a nightmare without it. Why is Maestro such a nightmare as a defender? Alright, let's move on to what really makes a teacher a problem. He has the first thing, a huge health reserve, is totally a tank. This guy can take hits all day. If you don't bring a strong counter, get ready for a super long and frustrating fight. He's not going to fall easily, I'm telling you. The worst of his abilities is what makes the teacher truly annoying, and he gains neutronium charges just by being in combat, and when he reaches 10 charges, he obtains 100% probability of obtaining a deflection improvement in all basic attacks. That means you can't critically hit him, therefore you have less damage. Almost all of your punches are useless. And guess what? This detour lasts almost 40 seconds. 40 seconds in. in a fight that means an eternity. If you're fighting on battlefields or alliance wars, therefore, you don't want to get stuck in this situation, now you can think, well, I'll kill him quickly. Before I get to those 10 loads, well, I tell you good luck. Or, if you are thinking of bringing someone who depends on the shock of poison or incineration, don't even try teachers completely immune to these 3 disadvantages. So if your strategy of it depends on the damage and disadvantages, you're going to have a terrible time, so how can you counteract it? There are ways to deal with it, but it's not easy at all. Heavy bleeding and degeneration can help you as it still works, but while the bypass is active, you can't boost it. Therefore, the fight is going to drag on. Therefore, a master is a real nightmare in defense. If more players had it, I'm totally sure it would be in the top 5, but since it's still locked up behind one of the toughest challenges in the game, it stays in honorable mention territory. But if you ever in Battaros, for example, you see a 7-star master at most on battlefields or in war, prepare for pain. Like I said, master is a special prize champion, but guess what? There is another special prize champion who is even more tank than he is and harder to get. Sure enough, I'm talking about Thanos Deadless, and like Maestro, this guy is ridiculously hard to get, but if after arrangements to hook him, you have a totally absolute monster in both defense and attack. Because Thanos Deadless is an honorable mention, it's just incredibly rare. You can't get it out in a regular glass. First, you have to collect all the available Deldez champions, which right now can only be obtained by runes, and only then do you have a chance to unlock Thanos. And if you want to wake him up, you face a complete necropolis with all the Deldez champions to complete the objective. That's why he's not in the top 5 defenders. Not because he's not worthy, but because most players just don't have it. Now let's talk about the unique ability Awakened. It is necessary for defense. Here I have to tell you instead of teacher that yes, totally 100% without waking up. It's not really a problem if you know how to handle his specials, but awake, that's where Thanos Deldez's worst nightmare begins as a defender. He's a defender totally tan, that possibly much tougher than Maestro. And look, that Maestro is a tank, no doubt. But Thanos could actually be totally worse. His life is huge, and once he wakes up, he has one of the most frustrating protection skills in the game. This is what makes it an all-defensive threat, meaning your biggest damage offenders suddenly feel like they're hitting with pillows. Your critics don't hurt him than they should, nor do you need a specific counter, or this match is going to last forever. Now if you're done waiting, it's time to talk about the 5 best defenders that you can take directly from the glasses. And let's start with number 5, Photon. If you have Photon on your list, you should know that he is one of the best and most annoying defenders we have in the game itself. Photon? He's a beast in attack, but above all what the video is about in defense. Is it necessary to have her awake for the defense? No. She is already a pain to fight without having the ability awakened. But here I have to say that waking her up makes her so much better, but even without awakening, if you have it, is all you need to ruin your day. Why Photon? It's a defensive nightmare. It's a ghost you can't hit. Fighting Photon is like trying to hit a ghost. She has deceptive abilities all over the place, and if you don't have the right counter-attack, you'll just hit nothing with a dumb face as she prepares with her unblockables and her miss. Plus, she does have all that crap and you're gonna totally hate her. The special attacks are totally unavoidable, which means you can't dodge them, you can't block them, and you have to take his damage. If you're wrong, and let's face it, you're going to be wrong against Photon, you can easily fall before his defensive force because he should rise from rank to Photon. If you upgrade her, you'll be making one of the best investments in the entire science class. He is crazy in defense, equally good in attack, so he is not even a Photon waste, totally recommended in defense. On top number 4, we have Real Enchantress, folks. I can't stand fighting this character for real. I hate this champion in the best possible way. She's one of the most miserable defenders you'll have to deal with. And honestly, I'd rather fight almost any other character. And the worst thing is, she's not even the most annoying defender we're going to have on this top. Yeah, she gets worse. She needs to be woken up to defend herself. Yes, completely unawakened is already frustrating. But the awakened ability of enchanters only increases the pain, steals power with longer time, and spells are longer lasting. Even more headache is absolutely. If you face this enchantress awakened, your fight is going to become 10 times more difficult because Enchantress is a defensive nightmare with 1. I'm totally annoying and stupid since she's super passive and weird. It is loaded with defensive skills that make your life impossible even with the counter attack with the right counter. There's no guarantee he'll come out of that fight without a scratch. For example, every time I see her in battle rounds, I literally ban her. And when I have to fight in wars, I know that I'm going to have a totally terrible time against this character. Apart from that, Enchanted Friends has the problem of his super attack 2 that refuses to launch it. If you've ever really fought enchanters, you know where. How's it going? This woman won't launch her special 2 until she's forced you into multiple super attacks. Besides, if you hit over attack 2, it'll be like a truck. The inevitable damage takes away a massive chunk of your health. Absolutely frustrating to deal with, and with all the bugs we have right now in the game, it's even worse. She's a nightmare to fight. If you don't have the perfect counter, you are going to suffer. But the worst thing is that if you don't have the perfect counter, you're going to suffer. Open anyway. And as you said before, the worst thing is that she is not even the worst defender on this list. From here, it gets even worse. In the top 3, we have a totally absolute threat. Bullseye is made to make your life impossible. This guy is basically a character who goes from bleeding disadvantages, and for anyone who isn't 100% ready to deal with him, he's going to have a really bad time. And the worst part is that with his super attacks, it never misses. It is very difficult to dodge them. Therefore, it will hit you and it will give you bleeding disadvantages. Therefore, it needs pulse and be awakened for defense. Yes, 100%. Not only does the town need to be awakened, you're also going to want to have it on high levels of singularity to really push it into full nightmare mode without waking up. It's still annoying, but when you wake up there, the higher the singularity, you're going to need therapy after fighting it because Pulside is an absolute defensive nightmare. Launches super attacks like crazy, you think you have control, but totally. He's not throwing specials left and right, back is second. Here comes another special, back yet another. You have the special attack too. Yes, have fun dodging them, which like I said is very hard, and if you don't finish it fast, you're stuck in an endless loop of painful evasions like crazy. Look, we've all fought champions, annoying evasives before, but Bullseye is the king of evasion. He evades at the worst possible times. He will lure you to attack just to evade and punish you. If you think you have an opening is totally not infuriating, he evades, stuns, and attacks you. In addition, Bullseye has the ability to purify up to 10 disadvantages, which means your stop can disappear, your slowness can disappear, your ability to control combat completely forgotten, and if that were not enough, his special attacks mitigate the incoming damage. Therefore, you have damage on defense, so even if you are finally about to finish him off, this guy just absorbs your punch and moves on. Imagine that you are in a battle fight. Course of Alliance Wars have that bag and have 1% health. You only need one more blow to finish him off, but bam, this one clears your stun, evades your blow, and melts you with its incoming bleeds before it can react. Is it really frustrating? It's falling short. And the best or worst thing is that there are still 2 defenders worse than him. If this list is about to get even more painful at the top 2 friends we have in Final Territory, we're already reaching the end of the video. Outloud is not only one of the best defenders in the games, he is possibly the best champion overall. I already know that some of you are going to start writing in the comments that another character is the best what you are talking about. Most champions are great defenders or great attackers. But in this case, Outloud is both. He is one of the best attackers in the games and best defenders in the games. Outland needs to be awake to be a good defender, yes, but he's still a total nightmare if he's not awake. On the other hand, if he is awake and in a high singularity, and you are going to want to have him like this in high security, because he is also a top prestige, the penetration of Oload's blockade will increase enormously, which will make his super attacks, which in themselves are difficult to evade, do you more damage in blockade when he is on the defensive. Good luck, you better have the correct counter, because if you don't, you are lost. His abilities still work when you block. This makes Oslo as unfair as I said before. You can't just block and play it safe. His abilities still fire through lockdown. So you're taking damage even when you play carefully. Oh, and guess what? All his damage is passive. There is no healing whatsoever for handicap for will mastery. You just die slowly and painfully. There are very few champions that can really stand up to Oslo. If you don't have one of these counters, a world of pain awaits you once the fights are over. If you think you can overcome him, no. He will simply overcome you with a simple Neuroshock-based super attack. But the craziest part is that there's still a defender who's still in this position. Yes, he is number 1, and many of you already know who he is going to be, and he is the very powerful Snake. He takes the award for being the best defender, the most annoying we have in this video. This guy totally owns the war and battlegrounds right now. If you've played recently, you've seen it everywhere. And guess what? It's not going anywhere since defense is still used. Currently, Snake needs to be awakened for defense and with a fairly high singularity. That's ultimately what makes him immortal. That's what gives him an absolute nightmare. That's why people hate fighting him. Not awake, still strong, but awake. You don't want to face him or run into him. There's no way to stop it. You just have to sit back and suffer. Snake gains power like crazy. You think you're in control of the fight. You think you have it under control. You think you're safe, and boom. He's in Special 3 in the blink of an eye, and suddenly you're totally finished. He is even better defender when he combines it. They finish off the war nodes or Batarams nodes, and the icing on the cake is that some nodes that these are make them even more beasts, such as power gain nodes, mitigation of damage, etc. At this point, if you see a snake, the defense is all you have to do is pray. And if you don't have a counter, it's okay, because if you don't have a counter, yes, it's over. This is why he is the worst defender in good, worst, or best defender in evil. Superheroes can't be killed. You can't stop their increase in power. You can't stop their immortality. You just have to watch how it ruins the whole fight for you. Hence, Serpentine has earned his title as the most aggravating and painful defender in the game. Fellow gamers, here you find the ultimate defenders. Give a nod to yourself or respond affirmatively to me. If you've made it this far, leave a comment, particularly about the moment that enraged you the most in the clash against these defenders. Make sure to share in the comments who is the top defender that incited the most fury and who posed the greatest challenges. Don't forget to hit the subscription button to enable notifications for more top rankings and related content. Did you all enjoy the video? Your thoughts are valued, and I'll catch you in other videos. Goodbye.